I met a guy named Azaraskin who does a lot of cool stuff. Really brilliant. Works with Tristan Harris and a bunch of stuff. But he was talking to me about communicating with animals. He co-founded Earth Species Project, where you're trying to find the common language between whales, crows, and humans.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that there's a lot of promising work
Mm-hmm.
that even though the signals are very different,
Right.
like the actual if you have embeddings of the languages, they're actually trying to communicate similar type things.
Mm-hmm.
And is there something you can comment on that? Like, where is there promise to that in everything you've seen in different cultures, especially like remote cultures, that this is a possibility, or no? That we can talk to whales?
I would say yes. I think it's not crazy at all. I think it's quite reasonable. There's this sort of weird view, odd view, I think, that to think that human language is somehow special. I mean, it is. Maybe it is. We can certainly do more than any of the other species. And maybe our language system is part of that. It's possible, but people do have often talked about how human, like Chomsky, in fact, has talked about how only human language has, this compositionality thing that he thinks is sort of key in language. And it's the problem with that argument is he doesn't speak whale. And he doesn't speak crow, and he doesn't speak monkey. He's like they say things like, "Well, they're making a bunch of grunts and squeaks," and that the reasoning is like, that's bad reasoning. Like, I'm pretty sure if you asked a whale what we're saying, they'd say, "Well, I'm making a bunch of weird noises."
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, this is a very odd reasoning to be making, that human language is special because we're the only ones who have human language. I'm like, well, we don't know what those other, we can't talk to them yet. And so there probably is a signal in there, and it might very well be something complicated like human language. I mean, sure, with a small brain in lower species, there's probably not a very good communication system, but in these higher species where you have, what seems to be, abilities to communicate something, there might very well be a lot more signal there than than we might have otherwise thought.
But also, if we have a lot of intellectual humility here, there's somebody formerly from MIT, Neri Oxman, who I admire very much, has worked on communicating with plants.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yes, the signal there is even less than, but like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that all nature has a way of communicating, and it's a very different language, but they do develop a kind of language through the chemistry, through some way of communicating with each other. And if you have enough humility about that possibility, I think you can, I think it would be a very interesting, in a few decades, maybe centuries, hopefully not, a humbling possibility of being able to communicate not just between humans effectively, but between all of living things on Earth.
Well, I mean, I think some of them are not going to have much interesting to say, but some of them will. We don't know. We certainly don't know. I think
if we're humble, there could be some interesting trees out there.
Yeah. Well, they're probably talking to other trees, right? They're not talking to us. And so to the extent they're talking, they're saying something interesting to some other, conspecific as opposed to us, right? And so there may be some signal there. So there are people out there. Actually, it's pretty common to say that that human language is special and different from any other animal communication system. And I just don't think the evidence is there for that claim. I think it's not obvious. We just don't know what because we don't speak these other communication systems until we get better. I do think there are people working on that, as you pointed out, though, people working on whale speak, for instance. Like, that's really fascinating.